Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Remnant Christian book reading channel. I don't know what happened there. I had a slight moment of disarray. But we're back, and we're gonna be doing the book, The Keyhouse, and we're gonna be doing chapters 9 and 10 today for this video. Hope you guys are ready. It shouldn't be too long. Should maybe be 30 minutes maximum, but we'll see. I hope you guys are ready. You're having a good day. And me, I'm tired. I'm tired. You guys don't even know. Living in Florida is annoying. I want to live in Antarctica. It's so hot and humid over here. It's ridiculous. But with all of that being said, I think we should just hurry up and get into the book because that's what you're here for, right? So, anyways, we're in chapter 9. We're going to read chapter 9 and 10 today. Chapter 9 is titled Riddle Me This. And then chapter 10, well, we'll see when we get there. Strap in, everybody. Get ready. Get your drinks and your snacks. Because here we go. Chapter 9, Riddle Me This. As the Noland's station wagon pulled into the driveway and its engine was shut off, the violent drumming of rain could be heard on the roof. It was one of those quick afternoon thunderstorms that was soon coming to an end. So they chose to wait it out in the car. Bethany stroked her husband's arm. "Your message was very powerful and challenging this morning, dear. I think it ministered to a lot of people." This was the first time Dave had preached at their new church since they had moved into their place. Or their house. The pastor was grateful to have him speak and hoped he would be able to on occasion. Though Dave was an Old Testament and languages professor, he had a special gift connecting with his students on a very practical level. "I loved your story about the first time you had to change a diaper," David said. "But you should have told them what happened when—" "Thank you, David," his father interrupted before the lurid details were regrettably exposed. "Remember, there are ladies in the car." Lizzie looked at her brother and said rather dramatically, "I am a lady, you know." Bethany looked directly at David as if to stifle any sarcastic comments contrary to his sister's declaration. And it worked. His mouth slowly closed with a humph, and then a weak apology. "Sorry." "Well, I don't know about everyone else, but I plan on napping after lunch," Dave said. Caleb seemed to be ahead of everyone else on that idea. Dave reached into the back seat and nudged him. "Hey, buddy, we're home. Rain stopped. Ready to go in and eat?" "Oh, what? Did you say it's time to eat?" Caleb stretched with a yawn. "What are we having?" He was always alert when food was mentioned. Bethany could only smile. "A roast with some potatoes and vegetables is in the crock pot, and I'm sure it's done and ready for some children to devour." "Just children, huh?" David added. "Well, maybe some handsome preachers, too." As Dave and Bethany kissed, their kids groaned in chorus. "Oh, yuck!" "Do we have to do that when we're married?" David asked. "You might not mind so much later, son. You'll see." Dave reached back and ruffled his son's hair. "Let's grab some lunch, everyone," Bethany suggested, and the car quickly emptied. "You still up to investigating the diary after lunch?" David asked his brother as they walked into the house. "You're not going to nap anymore, are you?" "Are you kidding? I'm ready for adventure," Caleb replied, and then added, "after lunch." As the Noland family sat down to eat, Dave looked up from his meal. "So, kids, I did some inspecting of the headlamps we used yesterday. Interesting fact. Syrup actually does not help them work at, or excuse me, syrup actually does not help them work well. He gave a silly smirk at David. Maybe we could pack with that in mind next time, okay? Ouch, Caleb said quietly with a grin. But mashed potatoes are okay? David asked with a straight face. Dave just shook his head. It was one of those comments in which a reply would only encourage them all the more. After the lunch plates were cleared and quickly placed into the dishwasher, everyone headed to their beds for a nap. Everyone, that is, but Caleb and David. The two of them marched to their bedroom, grabbed two small flashlights, and quickly ascended the stairs to the attic. Wait, David said. Do you think Dad put the diary back in the study? Wow, I guess he did. Let's hope he did. Caleb pressed on the attic wall as his dad had done the week before, and the door to the study popped ajar. When the two flashed their lights into the dark room, there indeed on the desk was their great-great-grandfather's diary, waiting to be investigated. The two boys gave a sigh of relief as they approached the book and unbound the leather strap buckled around it. Only Caleb could read the cursive handwriting of Jonathan Noland, but it was David who spoke first. What does it say? Anything helpful? No, not really. Just something about his business. It's pretty boring, actually. Just skip to the end, David urged. But if we do that, we could miss some important clues. Well, you said it was boring. Just skip to the end and see if he talks about it there. Caleb reluctantly turned the pages to where the writing stopped. Numerous blank pages remained, but nothing what was written mentioned treasures or clues or anything exciting. Here, let me see, David said as he grabbed the book from his brother's hands and quickly thumbed through the blank pages to the end. Hey, I wasn't done, Caleb demanded. Well, you don't have to be mad about it. Just give me a try. David continued thumbing through the remainder of the book. Wait, go back. Did you see that? Yeah, David said as he started panning through the pages again, but slower this time. There, Caleb shouted. What's that? David handed the book to his brother. Here, you read it. Two more pages of writing in their great-great-grandfather's stylish cursive were curiously concealed in the middle of the blank pages. After a minute of silence, David asked, Well, what does it say? It's weird he would write something right here, don't you think? This is interesting. Come on, Caleb, read it out loud, David insisted. It says something about regrets for not choosing to follow Christ until later in his life, and about not trusting his children with his wealth. Weird. And then he says here, May the eyes now reading these pages be of pure devotion than my children's, filled with the true light that casts out all darkness. May your heart be tender toward the weak and generous toward the poor of this world. For one such as this I have prayed. Yes, and deeply longed for, to unravel these mysteries and discover the treasure that pales in comparison to that one true treasure. But nevertheless, is this world's means of ascertaining what is good and helpful for the less fortunate. Caleb took in a breath slowly. I knew there was a treasure. I just knew it. Come on, Caleb. Read some more. What does it say? He goes on. 3 riddles I offer you to discover the true meaning of the Keyhouse. The Keyhouse? What does he say about it? Well, if you stop interrupting me, I might be able to tell you. He continued reading. For in this house you shall find the answers, and so together they shall open the way to the treasure, should it still remain. I know the ways of pirates and wicked, greedy men. They always want more. They crave more. May such men be held at bay, never to pillage this fortune, that you, my child, my heir, may use it as God truly intends. Yes, and? David was giddy with impatience. Caleb continued. So, here's the first riddle. Though inside I steadily grow, I am not alive. Though I desperately need air, I cannot breathe. Though water may drown me, I possess no mouth. And though my mantle is draped about me, I possess no shoulders. He then says, please handle with care. Whoa, that's hard. Did you understand any of that? David asked. Whatever it is, it needs air, but water drowns it? Caleb said out loud. What about Matilda? Lizzie's pet cat? Sure, and the water part doesn't seem like a bad idea, David offered. What? Caleb put the book down and placed his hands on his hips. 2 reasons. 1, she's not that irritating, except when you try to flush her down the toilet. Caleb enunciated his words slowly and firmly, but David stood in shock, not knowing how his brother had discovered his transgression from many years ago. And 2, last I checked, she could breathe. And there's another, more obvious reason if you need it. David felt scolded and uncertain how to respond. Well, what do you got then? Let me think. Rust needs air, but it also needs water. That can't work. Fire needs air and water can put it out. That works. Maybe the candle in the study? I still think Matilda fits better. Come on, David. Seriously, help me out. His brother goaded him. I like the idea of fire, but what about the mantle part? What is a mantle, and how does that fit? A mantle is like a cloak you wear around your shoulders, kind of like Mom's old shawl. David just stood there shaking his head. What candle wears a shawl? Well, good point, Caleb conceded. Unless he's talking about a different kind of mantle. Like a fireplace mantle. That's it! David, he's talking about the fireplace in the family room. And with wood inside it, the fire grows. Let's check it out. It took every bit of their willpower not to run down the stairs and wake everyone up. But by the time they reached the first floor, they ran into the family room and stood there, staring at the century-and-a-half-old stone fireplace. So, what exactly are we looking for? David asked. Maybe there's a stone we need to remove or something. But after several minutes of checking every stone, not one of them was able to be removed. What else could it be? But what are we looking for? David asked again. Honestly, I don't really know. A treasure? Read it again. It says, in this house you'll find the answers, and so together they shall open the way to the treasure. Maybe it's not the treasure, but will help us find the treasure. It does say at the end, please handle with care. I guess 'cause it's hot? Caleb, look at these 2 handles of the fireplace doors. David was kneeling in front of the doors, looking over them closely. That one looks kind of broken, his brother observed, pointing to one of the handles. No, I think it was made that way, It's strange. I bet if you did this. David pressed the underside of the tip of the oddly shaped handle and slowly slid it apart from the rest of it. In his hand, he held a piece of metal in the shape of a triangle, some 3 inches long, with small, curious hooks at each corner. The handle tip revealed yet another small hook protruding from its end. "What's this?" he asked. The mysterious piece of metal looked like nothing they had seen before. "This has to be it. It answers the riddle. But I don't get it. How could this help us find some treasure?" "Why don't we try to answer the next riddle? Maybe it will be clearer then." "Good idea." Caleb thumbed through the blank pages of the diary, looking for the page with the clues. Finding it, he said, "It goes on to say, the second riddle, when I get old, I tend to creak. I stare and rail, but do not speak. Climb me high, feel the heat, where rail and air will soon meet." Excuse me. "The old wooden floors sure creak a lot," David suggested. "True, but you can't climb them. Maybe a creaky ladder?" "But the only ladders are in the shed, not the house," David countered. "Yeah, you're right." They both stood there in silence for some time, stumped. They began to walk around the downstairs, their eyes scanning every possible lead. "Hey, let's try upstairs. We've looked down here long enough," Caleb said as he led the way. David ran up the stairs to catch up with his brother. The creaking stairs echoed throughout the house. "Shh! Walk! You're going to wake everyone up," Caleb cautioned in an urgent but hushed voice. David shook his head. "These stupid old stairs! Dad should just replace them." "David, that's it! You just solved it! The answer to the riddle is the stairs! They creak when they're old and, Caleb opened the diary again and spoke softly. "And it has a rail you use to climb all the way to the attic, where it's hot. And I guess he uses the word stare in a different way. Like when you stare at someone, it's a play on words." Excuse me, my nose is all itchy. I think my allergies are acting up. Hold on. Sorry about that. Let's continue on. The two of them ascended the remainder of the stairs, quickly but quietly. They opened the door to the attic and continued on. Soon their hands slid off the rail as the stairs ended and the open attic welcomed them. The sudden heat hit them like a wall. "Where rail and air will soon meet," Caleb read. "That's got to be here, but where? It's so wide open." "Not really," David said, eyeing the metal end cap on the wooden rail. "Look at this. Do you think it comes apart like the fireplace door handle?" Caleb squatted down to take a closer look. "I don't know. It looks different. A lot different." David began analyzing the end cap. For some time, he had acquired skills in taking almost anything apart and reassembling it. He had 2 dresser drawers full of parts to electronic toys, toasters, microwaves, tools, and the like. He loved taking them apart and adding upgrades, as he called them. He had a whole bookcase devoted to his new gadgets. Not too many 10-year-old boys had Nerf guns powered by upgraded heavy-gauge springs that had styrofoam bullets that explode upon impact. If anyone could figure out how to dismantle the end cap, it would be David. As he twisted his head this way and that, looking at it from every angle, he finally put his finger underneath the end cap just so, and pushed. It popped out. Out popped a piece of metal similar to the tip of the fireplace door handle. Caleb quickly grabbed the protruding metal tip and pulled its long body out. It was nearly identical to the other piece they had discovered. Huh, that's intriguing, David said, looking at his brother with a smile. Caleb matched his grin with a giddy laugh. 2 riddles solved and 1 to go. Hey, Caleb, came a call from downstairs. Yes, sir. You got a minute? Caleb looked at his brother. Dad must be up. Be right back. He bounded down the stairs all the way to the bottom as it spilled out into the kitchen. Yeah, Dad? Hey, buddy. Listen, I had to place an order at the salvage yard for some new door handles for the Corolla. Could you pick them up on your way home from All-Star practice tomorrow? I've already paid for them, so you'll just need to pick them up. Sure, Dad, I could do that. About what time do you think you will be getting home? I don't know, maybe like 5:30 or something. That'll work great. Thanks, son. Bethany was putting her last pot away in the cupboard. And what are you and David working on upstairs? Did you forget that you needed to work on your research project? I don't think you put much time into it yesterday. Oh, Mom, I do have... But Caleb caught himself. He saw his dad staring at him from behind the newspaper. He was reading at the table. Yes, ma'am, he sighed. He stood there in disappointment as the rest of his afternoon plans began to dissolve before his very eyes. The mystery of the strange metal pieces would need to wait for a solution, at least until tomorrow. Until then, he thought it best to keep their progress a secret. Nothing is worse than sharing half a solution, only to find out later that it's really no solution at all. No, waiting would be best. And now we're going to chapter 10. Pause to remember. It was the first day of All-Star practice, and much of the time was to be spent working on basics. Since Caleb's team placed second in the Little League standings, his coach was made the assistant to the winning team's coach, and sought to work with Caleb mostly to get him along with the other players. He did not want his star pitcher to get benched because of an attitude, and Caleb could have them. As the teammates lined up on the bench, the head coach began. First, I would like to welcome Caleb Noland to our All-Star team. Most of you know he's been in the league now for only a little over a month, and all of you know the struggle to get around his breaking ball. Jared gave his teammate a high five as the others laughed and clapped. Jerry, a tall, stocky boy and one of the best batters in the league, added, Dude, I'm just glad I don't have to face you out there. Caleb laughed as the others did and replied, Except in practice, Jerry. Several let out some ooh, while others called for a challenge that escalated into a one-upmanship. Hey now, the coach said, interrupting the ruckus. We're all on the same team here. There are no individual standouts. You'll each make major contributions to our wins. And that's exactly what I'm expecting from you guys. Wins, and lots of them. This team is loaded with talent, and no single person will win our games for us. There's no I in team. Understood? Each of the players nodded his head as the coach went on with his introductions and then outlined the drills for practice. When he was done, the team took to the field as the pitchers and catchers warmed up to the side. Caleb spent a little time tossing the ball lightly to warm his arm. Within a few pitches, however, he started hurling some fastballs. Yo, Caleb, take it easy on me, man. We're just practicing. Lewis, a well-respected player who had caught for the winning team, called out. But Caleb merely motioned with his glove and responded, Get into position for me, and threw a slider, and then a breaking ball. Lewis caught the second pitch and jogged over to Caleb. Look, I know you're new to the league and all, and I don't know how good you are, but what are you trying to prove out here, man? None of us like having our catcher's equipment on. Just relax. No one's watching. Have some fun right now, okay? He dropped the ball into Caleb's glove. His teammate's blunt comment irked Caleb. Well, I take my pitching seriously. I think we should all be serious out here. Lewis took a deep breath. Listen, we're all serious out here. We're all about winning as a team. I'm just trying to say you don't need to impress anyone out here today. Okay, man? His reply stung. Who was he to judge me? Caleb thought. And again, when Lewis had trotted back, he motioned for him to get down into position. He quickly delivered a low, fast ball that had such speed on it, it rose quickly and caught Lewis off guard, almost popping him in the face. He immediately rose from his position and threw the ball hard back to Caleb. The ball flew over his head, hitting the tip of his glove, causing it to fly high over the fence toward a landscape maintenance person. As Caleb turned toward the errant ball, the man on the mower stopped, climbed off his machine, and picked up the ball as it rolled in front of him. Their eyes met. Caleb recognized him as a young man he had seen being thrown out of old Bill Grayson's garage the other day. Here's your ball, Noland, the landscaper called out, then proceeded to throw it well over Caleb and his catcher's heads toward the dugout. Now keep it out of my way, understood? After watching the careless throw sail overhead, Caleb turned again toward the young man, shaking his head in disgust. I said understood, the landscaper called to him again. Caleb merely turned back to continue throwing again. Something bothered him, though. And it wasn't simply the man's attitude. His gruff voice was familiar. Hauntingly familiar. As the rest of practice went without incident, Caleb afterwards met up with David, who had come to see all the guys who had made the team. As Caleb turned to go, David asked him, Hey, can't some of us do some batting practice before we head home? Remember, we have to stop by the salvage yard for Dad on the way home, Caleb reminded him. But you said... I didn't promise, David. Practice went later than I thought, and I told Dad I'd be home around 5:30, okay? Fine, David sighed. The conversation the rest of the way to the salvage yard, or the salvage store, was filled with talk about the last riddle and what they were to do with the metal pieces once they were all gathered. It was a different way home and a bit unfamiliar, but not much longer. Hey, is this the place up ahead? David asked. Maybe. I'll check. Caleb pulled out the piece of paper with all the details written down. You're not going to believe this. The name of this place is Grayson's Salvage, David interrupted. Yeah, how did... Caleb's attention was drawn to the large sign that had just come into view. Old Bill Grayson's Salvage Yard? He said with a stunned look on his face. As the two boys cautiously approached the front door, David looked around and whispered to his brother, This place looks like a tornado blew through it. The inside was even worse. The door quietly clanged as it opened, hitting a post that at one time held a dangling bell. Some worn tires were stacked off to the side with a sign that read, Sale, make me an offer. They noticed numerous muscle car magazines scattered about across the high countertop as Caleb looked around for an employee. Just ring the bell and let's hurry and get out of here, David urged. What happened next caught each of them by complete surprise. When Caleb tapped the desk bell, a large black dog from behind the counter suddenly sprang to life and began to bark menacingly non-stop, slamming his clawing paws atop the counter. His fierce, gaping growl revealed a mouthful of slobbery, sharp teeth. The boys jumped back, frightened, nearly falling into the stack of worn tires. The snarling dog was literally off the chain. Nothing held him back. The boys anticipated the vicious beast would jump over the counter and devour them for dinner any second. For the Nolands, the scene felt like it had been lifted straight from a horror movie with a bad ending. At that moment, the side door slammed open, its bell ringing furiously as a tall, burly old man stepped into the frightening chaos and shouted, "Gunner, knock it off! Down! Now I said down!" The large pit bull Rottweiler mix gave a soft whimper, pulled his dancing, clawing paws off the countertop, and trotted to the end of the counter, curling up on a small rug while cautiously eyeing his domineering master. "So, what can I do for you boys before my dog realizes just who you are?" Old Bill Grayson leaned against the counter with eyes that could pierce armor, his head turning to give each boy a looking over. "He remembers trespassers, mind you." His evil glance turned Caleb's way. "Especially those that do him harm." Caleb was not at first sure how to respond. He felt trapped, cornered. After a moment, his fearful thoughts caught up to him. I was just getting our ball. I didn't mean him any harm. I thought he was going to eat me alive." "Yeah, well, I suppose he would have. Trespassing's illegal in this town, son. And next time you do my dog harm, I'll—" Grayson held his tongue. His words were filled with spite and venom. No good would have come from them, and he knew it. He may have been old and crotchety and perhaps a touch senile, but he wasn't stupid. "So, I'll ask you boys again, what can I do for you?" the old man continued. "We're here to pick up my dad's car door handles. He said you would have them ready." Caleb spoke up. Fear had shut David down. He usually compensated it with sarcasm or silly humor, but now was most certainly not the place for that. And though dinner was on his mind, being dinner was not. No, saying nothing was best for now. "Yup, got 'em here. Brand new. Great deal. Don't forget to tell your dad that." And then, as if in a crowded store and not wanting anyone else to hear, he leaned forward and snarled, "And that stinking stolen family fortune needs to go back to where it belongs, in this family. And you tell your old man that, too." Caleb grabbed the package of handles from off the counter, and the two boys backed up a few steps before turning around, narrowly sidestepping a horrific crash into the pile of old weathered tires and escaping the chaos. The door slammed behind them. Their walk the rest of the way home was hurried and silent, David too afraid and Caleb too angry. They were just glad to have gotten out of there alive. Why did old Bill Grayson hate them so? And why would he believe the treasure should belong to this family, whoever that was? Questions filled their unsettled minds and begged for reasonable answers, and the sooner they got them, the better. And that is the end of chapter 10. 2 chapters down, guys, and just a few more to go. I hope you guys are enjoying it. What do you all think about Old Man Grayson? I don't know. He seems really suspect, but I feel my intuition is telling me there's something more to the story than him just being a hater. I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's reading, make sure you give it a like. If you enjoy my readings and you're new, be sure to consider subscribing. And be ready. For next Monday, we're going to be jumping into chapter 11 and 12. I hope you guys are ready. Anyways, with all that being said, God bless you guys. I hope you guys have a nice rest of your day, afternoon, morning, whenever you're watching. And remember that Jesus loves you. Bye-bye, everybody.